Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time it is going to be Superman from the Blackest Night Atrocitus wave. Now I am going down the line with these figures. I started off with Kyle Rayner, and then I went ahead and moved on to Deathstorm, and now we will be doing the Black Lantern Superman. Now when I did hear that they were going to release this figure, I got pretty happy because since I never was a really big DC Direct collector, I do appreciate them for what they were, but I just never went to too many comic stores or saw a lot of the figures, in person. So I've always been a mainly retail collector, which is why I collected the DC Universe Classics line, was because those were everywhere at Walmart, at Kmart, at Target. But I kind of shunned away from DC Direct. But now that I look back on it, I am super jelly of people that have a whole Blackest Night lineup. A lot of the Lantern figures were beautiful figures, even though they had limited articulation. And the plastic was pretty cheap, but they were beautiful figures. And sometimes I do want to just start collecting them one by one and having my own little Blackest Night collection. But thankfully, McFarlane has started to release these. Hopefully we will get a second wave. I mean, there's tons of characters that have Blackest Night versions. Of course, you're talking about Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, The Flash. All these characters could be made for Blackest Night. So I, for one, would be really interested to get a whole set of zombified DC characters. But for now, these are the ones that McFarlane has released, and I'm really appreciative of that. But anyways, pretty excited to get into this guy. He does look pretty decomposing in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you do have some source material from the comics, Blackest Night, and on the back, you do have some information added to the collection. Now, I'm not really sure which version of Black Lantern Superman this is, because I think there is various versions, as in all cases. But when I was looking up source material images to go off on, I did notice that sometimes the ring was on the left hand, or sometimes the ring was on the right hand. Sometimes he looked really decomposed, and sometimes he looked like basically normal, more like a possessed Superman. So I'm not too sure. You know that McFarlane likes to take bits and pieces from different versions and then amalgamate them all together to make his own cool version. But I'm always down for a zombified Superman. Now, he doesn't come with any traditional accessories, but he does come with the legs to build Atrocitus, which I'm really anticipating doing. Some pretty long legs. So I figure he's going to be a pretty big character, but really, really excited to finally get him built. We'll hold on to these. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. Now, first impressions, as I stated before, there is like different versions of this character. Not sure which one this one is. There are some little details that I kind of want to add myself, because I know that they're more accurate to the comics, and for some reason they are not here. So we'll be doing that towards the end of the video, as we usually do. Is I like to add my own little details or accessories. But all in all, for a cool zombified Superman, he does not disappoint. But he does have the classic Black Lantern getup, the color scheme, black and silver, and he does have the costume design that is traditional to the Black Lanterns. Not even sure which Superman of Earth, whatever this guy is from, but one Earth he's from is this Earth, and he's going to be in my collection. So looks pretty good all in all. For some reason, let me just say this. When I first saw this, like the images of, that he was going to come out, I was pretty underwhelmed. Like for some reason, I just thought McFarlane could have gave us a more like zombified figure, more like the way the DC Direct one looks. But this is its own thing. This one is triple times articulated than the DC Direct one. I think that one had 5 points of articulation. So it is what we get here with the more articulation. But that was just my first thoughts on the images. But now in hand, he looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the head sculpt. Now there are a couple of traditional zombified attributes that this guy has. He has the sunken in eyes, like his nose is missing, which is pretty disturbing. His hair looks pristine, which you know is pretty cool for Superman. Teeth look a little rough. Skin starting to kind of sink in and separate, and you could see some like where it's supposed to be fleshy parts in between. But all in all, looks pretty accurate. There are, like I said before, there are some things I do want to change, so we will go through that. But for our purposes, the head looks nice. So let's check out the articulation. Now, he does look down really well. He looks up really high. There's probably not going to be any need to mod this guy's head because he looks up really well. You have right to left movement, and you can cock his head for some attitude. Pretty good articulation there. Coming down to the chest, you do have that cool high silver Black Lantern symbolism. A nice ring that connects the upper part of the costume to the lower, and you have the traditional triangle with a oval in the middle for the Black Lantern costume. Let's take a look at the waist articulation. You do have side to side, pretty smooth. You have the full range of motion. Awesome the way the ring moves to accommodate for the articulation. You have a lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel. You can twist them, get them in some cool poses. Surprisingly, he has a pretty good crunch forward, and he can crunch backwards for some cool flying poses. That added with him looking up works really well. Let's take a look at the shoulder. He does have the McFarlane faux shoulder butterfly joint with the bushing. You do get up and down, front to back, a lot of range of motion. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, look pretty clean. Moving down from the shoulders, you get into that rough. This is a short sleeve costume, and you get into that really rough, disgusting sculpture of the arms, of the skin on the arms, kind of leperish, and then you get into some like gauntlets and down to the hand. Now the hand also looks a little bit dead, and he does have the traditional wrist articulation. Now one big thing is, I'm gonna say out of the versions I've seen, the ring is supposed to be on his left hand, but it is absent from this figure. There is no ring. There is also no ring on the other side, which is the same setup. You have your short sleeve, the zombified arms, the gauntlet, and then a fisted zombie hand. But the ring missing is a big no-no. We will be taking care of that towards the end of the video. You can get them in a T pose. Wow, you could even get him in a Y pose. And you can lift his arms straight above his head for more flying poses. Going down to the waist, You got the rubber trunks there with the symbolism. Pretty cool. I'm gonna love having this guy on the shelf. Let's check out the thigh swivel. Oh, thigh swivel's pretty rough. Minimal thigh swivel, but it works the same way. You have his boot straight like this. If you want his boot to face that way, you just swivel a thigh. And if you want it to face inward, swivel the thigh that way. Pretty much human movements there. Now he can kick up pretty high, and he can kick back really high as well. And this is allowed by the rubber in the trunks. And when you go back, they go back to their original form. You can cock his leg out, bend the knee, and he does have that sweet hip rotation. Double jointed knees. Pretty clean cut there. You have up and down at the ankle, right to left, rocker, and toe articulation. Awesome articulation there. Now before we go, let's take a look at the whole lower legs. Really grainy texture that the costume has. Really nicely painted in lines for the design of the Black Lantern suit. And then the boots are a really nice high silver. Now one thing I do not like is that they molded out the sculpted ankle ball joints for the ankles in like a silverish plastic, but it's not painted the same as the top of the boot or the actual boots. It's just like a dull gray. So we will be addressing that as well. Gotta paint that up, just can't let it stand. But all in all, looks pretty good. Take a look at them from the bottom. No tread, but some identifying marks. Moving up the back, beautiful sculpt work here in the back. Love the body shape and the silhouette from the thighs into the butt and then up into the wide back. You do have those cool cutouts on the back where you could pop his shoulders in there. And then the cape is a tattered, different sectioned piece of cape. Now, I have heard that the 5 fingers represent a hand, which is another figure that we could get from McFarlane. Black hand. That's one that I think has never really been done right. That's why it's one of the least sought after lantern figures, is because there's tons of them online. You could get, I think, for $10, but it's never been done correctly to where it could be a sought after figure, and I think McFarlane can actually do that. Now that 5-finger comment also goes into the front right here in the throat. That part is supposed to be actually silver, and it is sculpted out, but it is black, so we'll be painting that as well. But all in all, really happy with this figure, and so we will go ahead, add our own little details, take them to the next level. Let's start from the top at the head. Now, one thing he did not have is the Superman curl. He just had swooshed hair brushed to the side. But I really wanted that Superman curl because in the images, that's a prominent feature to the Black Lantern Superman. So what I did is I cut off that very front bang of the hair, and I actually have left over from when I did my regeneration suit Superman. I do have some of the hair left over from short-haired Superman, and I actually cut it and put the Superman curl right in there and glued it, and it actually fit right in. So now this version, Black Lantern Superman, has his little S curl, which is pretty accurate to the comics. Came out really nice. Now another thing I didn't like is the hair just had no different tones, and I think it was missing how he's supposed to have white grayish on the temples and even towards the back of the head. So once again, I repainted the hair. I added some minimal blue highlights because this guy looks like he has a darker hair. So I just put very light blue highlights, but minimal. And then I put a gray wash at the temples. And then when that dried, I put white just to highlight, and it came out really nice. Really, really nice. Really happy with that. Now I did repaint the eyes to a more blood bright red because they were red, but they were kind of like kind of darker red. They didn't really pop, and with this lighter red gloss, it actually does pop. Now another thing is the little headdress. It was silver. I think it's supposed to be wider and more like towards the hairline. So what I did is I just hit it with that really mirror silver chrome, and that way it, like, you know, sticks out. As soon as you look at it, you see that like little headdress part. So that was pretty cool. Now another thing I did to the whole, to all the skin parts, is I added some kind of like coral flesh color to represent like some flesh that's still underneath the zombified skin, and I dabbed that in like even in the ears and around the cheeks, and then I washed it off a little bit to like spread it out and dull it out, and it actually came out really really cool. Moving down, I did paint that silver portion right here in the middle on his chest and it really fills out the figure. If you look at it now, it looks complete and just takes it to that next level. Really happy with that. I actually added more chrome paint to the ring, so now it has like a more mirrored reflective silver, and then I actually put some on that little oval that's right at the triangle as well. Now, a big major thing I did do is I did give him a black lantern ring. Now, you could say, how did you do this? And this is pretty crazy. Throughout my customs, I have bought a couple of death metal Batmans and stripped them of their parts because I wanted them to do some customs. So I actually have 4 sets of hands just in my bucket of hands. And if you didn't know, on one of the hands, he actually has a black lantern ring. So I sliced it, but kind of like in a downward motion to give it a little bit of root, I guess you could say. So the black lantern ring is there, but it has a little bit of plastic at the bottom just to like have something to grip onto. And then I got the hand, and first I drilled one little pilot hole just to start off right where I wanted it on the middle finger. And then I drilled a second larger hole, and then I drilled a third even bigger hole where the ring would actually push in there. Put some glue, pushed it in, pressed it down to where it went inside the hole, and now I have a perfect black lantern ring. Looks really, really good. Then I just had to touch up a little bit of the skin. I even used some of that coral flesh color just to like touch it up. And then I painted the ring with some silver and actually wet black to give it that like opal, like that obsidian, you know, onyx kind of shimmer to the ring. And actually it came out really, really good. And now my Black Lantern Superman actually has a black lantern ring. Awesome, awesome little custom work there. The final thing I did with this guy is, let's go down to the boots, and I did pop off the feet, pop out the pegs, and then I gave him 2 coats of high silver. Now you could still articulate the feet and it does not hurt the paint at all, but it does match better and it flows from the boot part down into the sculpted ankle joint and then into the actual boot. It's all the same silver. So actually, really happy with this guy. He looks really good. I'm gonna be really excited to have him up on my shelf. Love all the little details I was able to add to him. Now before we go, I just want to put him up next to the other 2 figures I've already done from this wave, and that would be Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, and then also Deathstorm, Black Lantern. Starting to build up my lantern section here in the DC Multiverse collection. Anyways, guys, really cool figure. He looks awesome now that I've added my own little details. You guys get him if you want. I'm not here to like tell you to buy the figure or not buy the figure. I'm actually here for 2 reasons. One reason is to show you the benefits and the cons of each figure, and the other thing is to do my little touch-ups and customs that I actually enjoy working on and showing you guys. And that is really why I'm here. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.